let's be honest, it didn't deliver in the end. But this was the last chance to see Formula One in 2019, and the race around Yas Marina settled some very hotly contested championship battles. Welcome to the Formula One Grid Talk podcast, where we'll be reviewing last weekend's Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. We are powered by the F1 Chronicle. Visit f1chronicle.com for news, reviews, and all things F1. Hosting today will be me, George Howson, and joining me today are F1 expert Alex Booth.
Hello.
Sports journalist Louis Edwards.
Hello.
And engineering student Owain Medford.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us, lads. So yeah, there's not really anybody else we can really start with other than Lewis Hamilton, Owain. Absolutely untouchable. And I think fitting in a way for this season is, with how dominant he's been, with how good he's been, this race really showed just how good he is.
Yeah. Just walked away with it, really. Very, very, very easy bit. Oh, obviously, it's not really easy, but it's just, just walked away with it, finishing about a good 10 seconds ahead of anyone else.
Yeah, solid 16 seconds it was in the end ahead of Verstappen, and never really looked him down. It's his fifth win in Abu Dhabi. It's a track that really suits him and the Mercedes. I think Mercedes have won every V6 race there, and they've also got every pole there of the V6 era. Just absolutely untouchable, Alex. And, some of the records that Hamilton is getting close to now, I looked it up here. He's 7 off Michael Schumacher's overall win total for his career. He's 4 off the podium record. And obviously he's 1 off the championship record. Next year there's a fairly decent chance of Hamilton, matching them or eclipsing a lot of those records as well.
Yeah, I believe it's inevitable, actually. Lewis is winning, on average, at least 10 Grand Prix a year, and yesterday was his 11th of 2019. I can't see the form book moving much next year. I think Lewis is going to 2020 as the favourite. And if he carries on the way he is, then he's going to claim the record of the most victories, certainly the most podiums. He's already got the record of the most pole positions. He's well on his way to becoming the most successful Formula 1 driver of all time. Yeah,
the crown that Schumacher has in terms of being statistically the most successful driver ever is very limited. By the end of next year, it could well be over. Like you said, he's already got the pole record as well. He's obliterated that. I think he's something like 15 ahead, and he's going to be obviously getting more next year if the Mercedes is a good car. But yeah, Louis, I think Hamilton had 12 wins this year, something like that, out of 21 races. It was over by the summer really, but even in the second half of the season, he's been very consistent. He's very rarely not on the podium. And obviously compared to Bottas, that's the guy you have to be comparing him to. He's just absolutely wiped the floor of him and the rest of the grid.
Yeah, I think he learned his lesson from 2015, never to take his sort of foot off the pedal. He's you have to applaud Hamilton. He's done an absolutely brilliant job in the second half of this season. Despite the Ferrari having their edge, he's still always been up there. He's been challenging. And even since he won the World Championship, he's been an absolutely phenomenal driver, great form. And, even though some people don't like him, you have to respect what he's done in the sport. It's the same with Schumacher. He definitely did things that people weren't happy with, but you have to respect them because they are amazing drivers. And as Alex said, I think it is absolutely inevitable that he'll go on, break all the records, and a bold claim, but maybe win more than 7 titles.
It could happen. There's always rumours about. There's been a lot of rumours recently as well about Hamilton going to Ferrari and Mercedes quitting the sport, but I just don't see it as long as, both are still winning. Hamilton's going to keep with Mercedes. He's been with Mercedes engine car his entire career. And if Mercedes keep winning in F1, why would they leave? They're just padding the stats. They'll want to, it's a long, long way off, but they'll want to match Ferrari in terms of their success. If they keep going the way they are, they could be there in 10, 15 years. You never know. But yeah, unbelievable season for Hamilton. Love him or loathe him, you can't argue with the numbers. You can't argue with success. He's just absolutely untouchable in this era. 4 out of 5 out of 6 world titles in this V6 era. Just something else. That team, that combination is absolutely on another level. Looking to the future a little bit here. Max Verstappen. Now, I picked him for the win, not just because obviously we've got a very large Dutch fan base who are downloading the show. I generally thought he might have a chance this weekend, but just, he was the closest competition to Hamilton, Owain, but Red Bull and just wasn't quite there this weekend for him to get the win.
No, it wasn't. I don't think he did anything wrong, to be honest. He raced well all weekend, and I think he was just unlucky with the fact that the Mercedes seemed perfectly suited to Abu Dhabi, as Bottas managed to prove. That such a dominant car. Took us back to the sort of the early days of the hybrid era, when it was just all over for anyone else but Mercedes. So I think he's done well to keep that place, and he's shown himself to be another solid performance.
Yeah, it was a good performance for him. And I think as well, Alex, it's quite encouraging for Red Bull that they've ended this season as, I'd say, the undisputed second best team in terms of current form. I mean, Verstappen a solid 30 seconds ahead of Charles Leclerc in third place. I mean, continue that form into next year and they'll jump up to second at least.
It was a positive end for them. I mean, if you consider this time last year, we were unsure of how well Honda would start 2019 and how they'll progress, and they've done a fantastic job. The signs are there for 2020. If they can carry on the form they left this season, maybe they can challenge the league even more. Verstappen is finding his form, which he always seems to do at the end of the season. It's just whether he can. Well, to be fair, he did do it at the start of this season as well. If he can carry on the way he's going, and there's no reason why they can't fight for the honours next season.
Yeah, I mean, there's a big gap still, in terms of performance, but you never know. The winter's a long time. A lot can happen in terms of performance. The regulations are staying pretty static, so the opportunity is there for other teams to get in there, definitely. Now, for this weekend, we said that Ferrari absolutely desperately needed a clean weekend. And for the most part, they got it, but the pace still isn't there, Louis. I mean, Charles Leclerc, 43 seconds off the lead in the end, and almost passed by Valtteri Bottas, who started from the back of the grid. It's worrying for Ferrari. It really is. I mean, second in the Constructors' Championship this year, obviously, but they're sliding backwards.
It was a very average performance from Ferrari. You could tell that they were playing it safe with the last Grand Prix. They weren't doing anything overly surprising. It was just, right, let's finish off this season. Because they already had second place in the championship confirmed. I think they would have liked to have got that, third place in the drivers' championship, but that wasn't to be. With I think Max got it, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, it's not a brilliant result from Ferrari, but I think it's just they were ending the season just well, making sure that both cars actually crossed the line this time. Yeah,
that they did. Without major error, apart from at the pit stop for Vettel. We'll get into that, obviously. But yeah, just a bit of a nondescript race for Ferrari. I mean, yeah, Leclerc missing out on third place overall in the constructors in the drivers' championship. Sorry, that'll be disappointing for him. But yeah, lack of a pace for Ferrari around a track that probably doesn't suit the car the best, to be fair. But they had mammoth pace on the straight, though, Wayne. Leclerc and Vettel battling Verstappen. I mean, I don't know how he kept behind, how Verstappen kept behind Vettel in the early stages. The car is not that quick, but the power unit in that Ferrari is absolutely lightning.
Yeah, it's clearly the most powerful on the grid, and Ferrari seem to make best use of it with their sort of. I understand that they've got a low drag concept with what they're trying to do, or what they have done this year, which has suited them well in some places, particularly sort of Mexico, places like that, and it's held them back in others. But yeah, it really did a lot to cover up their performance, because I think if they'd had a weaker power unit and engine combo, because they were losing so much time through the power unit and sort of drag combo, they were losing so much time through the third sector. It was sort of over a second, and they were just lucky to have a significantly faster car during that middle sector where it's mostly power limited.
Yeah, I mean, Ferrari going back to the old days, they've always had a top-notch engine, but the chassis really letting him down, and letting him down at times this season without, I mean, like you said, a second in the final sector where it's more like a street circuit than an actual like planned track. So it's worrying for them, but you know they've got a lot of time to improve on it, but they need to get the momentum back, and that's difficult in F1. So Valtteri Bottas had his engine penalty. I think he qualified second. It was a Mercedes 1-2 in qualifying. Had an engine penalty. Had to start from the back of the grid, but ended up finishing fourth, Alex. And you know, I guess you'd expect it really for a car that's that good and Bottas being that good around Abu Dhabi, but it's still a commendable performance. He almost got on the podium.
Yeah, it was a very mature drive from Valtteri, especially considering where he started. It's been a much better season for him all round. And if you remember, he was so downcast at the end of 2018. This season's been a lot better. He's been 4 races. He'll be wanting to get even better next year. I don't quite think that he's probably going to be able to challenge Lewis even as much more than he already is. But his driving Abu Dhabi was fantastic. He did some great overtaking manoeuvres. And it was just a shame that, had the race been longer, I think he would have eventually finished third. Yeah,
I mean, Leclerc having his late stop onto the soft tyres, it just faded towards the end and almost got swallowed up by Bottas, but held him off in the end. Still a good drive by Bottas, though. But, you know, how do you rate his season, Louis? Because it's a tough one. You know, he's finished second in the Drivers' Championship, clear second, a solid nearly 50 points ahead of Verstappen, helping Mercedes onto their first in the constructors' standings. I mean, it started off really well, but it sort of tapered away. But end of the day, he's made it a perfect season for Mercedes in a way. You know, first in the constructors and first and second in the drivers.
Yeah, he's ebbed and flowed this season. He's gone up. He's been great, and then he's sort of slipped, and he's gone up again. It's been a bit of a weird season from Valtteri Bottas, but I think he's done what he's there to do. He didn't look like a title challenger for a while, and he definitely pushed Lewis and all the way up to the end of the season. It's just he had a few unfortunate races and a few unfortunate sort of times where things just didn't go his way, and it's just the way things go in Formula One. You're up against one of the greatest drivers ever in Formula One. He still pushed him all the way to the end of this season. He certainly did a better job than he did last season, so I don't think you have to still commend him for doing quite a good job.
Yeah, it's been a solid season for him. Massive improvement over last year. It's just the consistency that's let him down, really. And consistent enough. He's been good enough, I think. But you're going up against Lewis Hamilton. You got to be on it every weekend to have a chance of beating that guy. Something else, it really is. Someone who's really not been on it, especially this season for the most part, anyway. Sebastian Vettel finished 5th in this race. And if I had one word to describe his performance in Abu Dhabi, it'd been limp. Very honestly, he was a solid 20 seconds behind his teammate. He had a bad pit stop, admittedly. That wasn't his fault. He almost got beat by Albon. I mean, it just seemed like he wasn't really that bothered to me. I'm not the only person who said that.
I think it's at this point he's I need to go and do next year. I think he's had a tough season, especially in comparison to someone who is not going to follow the status quo of most Ferrari rookies. He's going to be like, no, I'm going to, Charles Leclerc has been just like, I'm going to go and win races. I'm going to go and get poles. I'm going to go and show you up. And I don't think Vettel's been used to that for a long, long time. And I think this is a season to forget, really. I don't know where he's finished. Is it third in the Drivers' Championship he's finished?
5th.
Oh, wow. fifth in the Drivers. Oh,
yep.
Well, that says it all, really, doesn't it? No.
Yeah, solid 38 points behind Leclerc in Leclerc's second season of F1. It's not what a 4-time world champion should be doing. Although, Leclerc is a superb talent, but doesn't make good reading. I don't believe the rumours that he's going to leave. I can't see him leaving after this year. I think he'll be back next year. He'll be hopefully recharged and ready to do well again, but he's got a lot. For lack of a better term, the first thing that comes to my mind, he's got to relight his fire. He's got to, he's got to reignite himself. I don't know how he's going to do it. He's just a third child, I believe. That'll give him a bit of motivation. Who knows? But it's a tough one. It's a tough one. Very talented driver, but just not on it at the moment. It's difficult for him. But yeah, moving on, like I mentioned just then, Alexander Albon, safe Alex. I mean, another solid drive. I mean, he has the disadvantage of only being in that car for half the year compared to Verstappen being in there for the whole year. I mean, good enough, but maybe we're hoping for a little bit more. But at the same time, what more can you do, really?
Well, you're always going to want to improve, and I think Alex has the inspiration to go and do even better. I don't know if he was still reeling from what happened in Brazil. I hope he wasn't. But he can hold his head high. He's got the seat for 2020. And next year, he'll have the full backing of the team. He'll be doing the testing. So he'll be more comfortable within the team and with the car. I don't know how much work he'll do with Verstappen and how much Verstappen will be prepared to do with him. But he'll certainly be in the right frame of mind for the start of the season. And he could go on and first step was to get first podium. Then he can maybe challenge for the wins. But he's certainly going in the right direction.
Yeah, I think like a lot of drivers, he's just got to get that first podium, got to get that first win. He's clearly talented, but he's a rookie. It's unbelievable to say, but it's his first season in F1, and he's gone from Toro Rosso to Red Bull. He's in a car that's good enough to win a race. So very interested to see how he does next year. Now, Nico Hulkenberg, as it was his last race, got driver of the day. I think that was a bit of a token, to be honest with you. I don't think he had a particularly good race.
Some people that was 100% mean.
Yeah, I think that was a meme, wasn't it? Like Kubica winning it in Austria or whatever it was. That
was a technical glitch, as far as I remember.
Anyway, yeah. A lot of people would have probably gone for Bottas as more of a sane option for driver of the day, but I'm going to be a bit left field here. I'm going to give it to Sergio Perez. Best of the rest. Had to do a lot of overtaking. 7th place, Louis. I mean, another great drive from the guy who's enjoying an incredible second half of the season.
Yeah, he really is the master of absolutely grinding results, getting those few points. I think he's definitely the driver which has kept, Racing Point or was Force India sort of above board for as long as they were with those few extra drivers points. But he's been absolutely fantastic. I mean, his move around the outside of Norris on the last lap was daring and it was absolutely brilliant. I think he described it as the best move of his career. It was truly brilliant. It's hard to say otherwise, really.
Yeah, it's a bit annoying in a way, his move on the last lap, because we didn't bloody see it. If you're watching a live broadcast anyway, which is a bit annoying, but there you go. But yeah, so that meant that Sergio Perez secured 10th in the Drivers' Championship. We're talking about a battle between him, Norris, and Raikkonen for that position. He ended up winning that one. Another guy that ended up winning his championship battle, despite not the best race, was Carlos Sainz. He ended up finishing best of the rest, 6th overall in the Drivers' Championship, finished 10th in Abu Dhabi. I mean, he got it at the end of the day, and that point was crucial away, because if he didn't get that, ask that to Alex then instead. That point was absolutely crucial, because obviously Gasly would have taken it if they drew on points. Gasly would have taken it because he got that 2nd place in Brazil. Absolutely vital for the young man, Alex. And again, incredible season by him.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've said enough plaudits of Carlos Sainz this year. I think he's done a terrific job. I was very annoyed that the television cameras missed his last lap manoeuvre, and which I think they all were. But it's just been a fantastic season for him. And look at the progress McLaren have made. There's a continuity in the team because they're keeping both drivers. And Sainz has had his most mature performance throughout his career, and he's heading into next year with a lot of pride. We hope that McLaren can keep that level of performance and even improve on it to go challenge, because if they got the first podium in a long time, maybe they can get even more.
Who knows? I mean, it's a big ask, obviously, but it was a bit of a freak them getting that podium, but they were there to capitalise on it. I mean, Carlos Sainz absolutely deserved that podium. Pit lane to podium, something that Bottas even couldn't manage this race. Something else really is. The other McLaren man, Lando Norris, Louis, 8th place, decent drive, beat Renault's again. I mean, that's all you can really say. Just another solid day for McLaren.
Yeah, Like it was a weird one because you saw like time after time, the Renaults kept going after him, but he really held his own. He just, stayed in front of both Ricciardo and Hulkenberg. Did a great job, and I think, it's a suitable way of ending Lando's rookie career. I think he's been a solid driver all season. He hasn't maybe done as well as Carlos Sainz, but for a rookie, I think he's really shone. In my books, I think he's been the rookie of the year over Alex Albon and George Russell, because I think he's just put in more consistent and very good performances over the course of the season.
Yeah, it's debatably. All three rookies have done really well this year. I'm sure we'll get into that in our driver ratings, which we're doing in a few weeks. Talking about that a bit later, maybe. But yeah, no, another solid day for him. 11th in the championship, solid mid-table in a car that is solid midfield runner. Can't ask any more from him. And then you realise he started the season, 19 years old, now he's 20. And just unbelievable for him. Another young British driver doing very well. It's what we love to see. Now, Daniel Kvyat, Owain, he was a bit of a dark horse this race. He came out of nowhere, really, and ended up finishing 9th. Another good day for the Torpedo.
Yeah, so he's come back reinvigorated, which is obviously very good for him. And he's putting in solid performances, which should hopefully keep him in the Toro Rosso seat, because we know they're not afraid of just throwing people out when they when they need to. Yeah. But I think he's come back and he's doing well, and I'm glad to see him having good results. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to see. I like him in the end of the day. He's entertaining, if not always for the right reasons. But yeah, now another team that, let's get into Renault actually. The guys just outside the points, 11th and 12th, Alex. It's not what they should be doing. And you think that, they've had the struggles with the car. You think they would be on the verge of fixing them by now, but those problems are still there. Another pointless race.
No, it's not where a works manufactured team really wants to be. And I think what really hampered Hulkenberg in particular, I think the DRS issue was fixed at the wrong time, because it just allowed Bottas and Vettel to scream past him. I think had he been ahead of them for a bit longer, he could have probably done a bit more about it and not lost as much track time, which wouldn't have helped him in the pits, and he ended up dropping to outside the point. It was a shame for him in his last Grand Prix. It would have been nice to have seen him finish at least 1 point, but it was just another depressing race for Renault, and it was one that another addition to the list that they'll want to forget very quickly, and I think they'll want to write 2019 off. They'll have already done it by now, I think. It was only 24 hours ago.
Yeah, it's been a really bad year for the end of the day. Renault did end up beating Toro Rosso in the Constructors' Championship, only just, I think by 5 points in the end, something like that, which is, it shouldn't be that close. It really shouldn't be. They were far closer to Toro Rosso and Racing Point than they were to McLaren, a customer team of Renault as well. Let's not forget that. Very disappointing for them. Not a bad result. Let's get into the other guys. Kimi Räikkönen, 13th, unlucky for some. Back down to earth, back down to reality, really, after Brazil and that incredible drive by him and Giovinazzi, Louis. But he ended up beating Giovinazzi, which is good, because I think more often than not, in the second half of the season, his younger teammate has been beating him. Yeah,
we did see a bit of a rise from Giovinazzi this sort of second half, but Kimi's still, he's a great driver at the end of the day. But yeah, that Alpha it's really been a bit all over the place, and Brazil really worked for them, and Abu Dhabi really didn't work for them.
Yeah, no, it really didn't. You can't expect them to score every race. The car's not in it. They're going to have to improve it obviously for next year. We'll see how that goes. But it will be interesting to see how how Kimi and Giovinazzi get on, because obviously Kimi will be 41 at the end of next season. Whether he finishes or not is unknown. But he is maybe showing signs that his pace maybe is starting to go. I don't regard Giovinazzi as being that quick. I don't think it's that slow either. I think it's decent, but he's not. I think Raikkonen's maybe tapering off. Maybe it's because the car was tapering off too. We've seen it before, where when the car's on it, Raikkonen's just like, I'll just drive around, just collect the points. But we'll see how that goes. Yeah, another dismal race for Haas Owain. Started 14th and 15th, finished 14th and 15th. Not really threatening the points at all.
I'd say that's quite a good result for them, to be honest. Managing to maintain position, after the troubles that they've had. Aren't they still on an Australia? I'm not actually sure, but I think they might still be on Australia spec front wings.
That's bad.
Yeah,
that's bad.
Well, actually, they were going to get a new floor, so yeah, we don't know. We don't know what would have happened had Bottas not ruined their floor. But yeah, Haas has been punching above its weight for a little bit, but it's really starting to settle into the rear of the grid, which I don't particularly like to see. And I'd be intrigued to see what happens next year. I don't think the political situation has done them any good. So yeah, it's just kind of it's one of those things, really. I think they need to get their act together for next year.
Yeah, I mean, nobody is too good to be at the back of the running Formula One. I mean, look at the team that's at the bottom of the championship. Williams, all those constructors' championships they've won, and they're comfortably the worst team at the moment in terms of pace. Nobody's too good to be down there. But I don't like to see it either. I mean, they had a very good year last year. They could have took 4th from Renault. They could have been best of the rest. But, you got to work for it. You got to earn it. And this year, if they're still having an Australia car in Brazil, Abu Dhabi, you got big problems. You're not improving. You're going in completely the wrong direction. Hopefully their car next year will be better. But if it's an evolution of this one, then I really do fear for them.
I don't know. The Ferrari this year is pretty good, so
Well, not great on the tyres, I suppose. Like the Haas, unsurprisingly, but yeah, they got a good power unit at least. That's something. Run through the others. Antonio Giovinazzi, he was 16th. George Russell 17th. He beat Toro Rosso, though. He beat Pierre Gasly, coming back down to earth himself. Second to 18th from Brazil to here. I think was it him that had an incident with Stroll on the first lap? Was that what happened?
Yeah. I can't recall exactly what happened, but it was
Stroll hit Gasly and then forced him into Perez.
Yeah, there was a bit of a messy start, and it kind of just ruined his race from there. I think he completely lost his front wing driving that one, so he was doomed from the start, really.
But it's still nice to finish ahead of Kubica.
It's not that difficult, though, is it?
It's really not. I mean, let's not forget, it was in his last race as well this weekend. Him and Hulkenberg. I want to give a mention actually to Hulkenberg as well. Another mention because I just remembered he's did catch his team radio after the race.
Yeah,
I didn't actually know.
Well, his engineer came on the radio and said, thank you, Nico, for 3 good years." And Hulkenberg just said, "I wish I could say the same." But then he said, I'm just joking. But I think he was low-key telling the truth there. I'll be honest. Oh, no.
Yeah, it's not been good. I mean, yeah, the highlight of his career has been at Williams and
Yeah, Williams and Force India, those have been his main teams, really. It's not been that great at Renault. At least he didn't end up with this race upside down, though. That's one thing. At least he wasn't hanging like a cow again. That's something. If anybody doesn't know what I'm talking about, just look at the highlights from last year. I love that team radio. Hanging like a cow, man. But yeah, so I mean, like I said at the start, if we're being honest, it was not the most eventful race. It was a very, very Abu Dhabi race. Not great. But yeah, as this is the last race as well, I mean, obviously we will go through this in a lot more detail in a future episode in a couple of weeks probably. Let's just go through the drivers and constructors standings. Lewis Hamilton, of course, our world champion, 413 points. He got 1, 2, 3, 4. He got 12 wins. I mean, he's very rarely off the podium, absolutely just on another level. Valtteri Bottas, Mercedes, he was second, comfortably ahead of Max Verstappen, who will be going to the Paris prize givings. He will be going there. He's on the podium for Red Bull. Charles Leclerc, great first season for Ferrari, fourth. Sebastian Vettel, fifth, not so great of a season. Carlos Sainz, though, like we mentioned earlier on, absolutely commendable, sixth, best of the rest. Pierre Gasly, despite having a Red Bull for half the year, ended up in seventh. Alexander Albon, he also had a Red Bull for half the year, eighth. Daniel Ricciardo in his first season for Renault, ninth, distant ninth as well. We would have been hoping for a lot more. Perez with another solid year, 10th. Lando Norris in his rookie year, 11th. Kimi Räikkönen, middle of the pack, 12th. Started out quite well for him. Kind of tapered off towards the end of the season as Alfa started going a bit further back. Kvyat, decent return to Formula One. He was 13th, level with Hulkenberg in 14th. Again, Hulkenberg would have been hoping for more for Renault. Lance Stroll, not the worst year, I suppose, when you compare it to Perez. He's a ways off. He's less than half of Perez's points. He was 15th. Kevin Magnussen, he definitely would have been hoping for more. 16th. Less points than Lance Stroll. That's really saying something. Wow. Antonio Giovinazzi, his first full season of F1, he was 14th. Roman Grosjean, I don't know how he's got another seat, to be honest, another year on his contract for Haas. He's 18th. And Robert Kubica ended up beating George Russell at the bottom of the championship.
With 1 point, I think.
I know, the 1 point. It just doesn't seem right. Did you guys realise that George Russell this weekend, after qualifying, he had out-qualified Robert Kubica every single qualifying, all 21-0.
If only Q2 appearances got you a point.
Oh, one at a time. Well, Louis, I think you were first.
So if only Q2 appearances got you a point,
Oh, go on, Alex. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say it's such a shame that the points table reflects that, because Kubica got a sludgy point for Williams, whereas Russell, who it's a bit left field, but he's actually my rookie of the year because of the equipment he's got. He's taken that Williams to places where it should never have been. But it's just such a shame they didn't have anything to show for on the final points table.
Yeah, it's really unfair that, you look back, you go back for like Fernando Alonso had an amazing season for Minardi in his debut, but points only went back to sixth place. I mean, it's difficult even now in this era where you've got down to 10th. All the cars are so reliable that you need an absolute miracle to get something. And Kubica got that in Germany, and Russell just missed out there, and he just missed out in Brazil as well. I really do feel sorry for him in that regard, but it'd be very interesting to see how he goes up against Latifi next year, because Latifi has been confirmed as the second Williams driver. I thought we'd give that a mention for next year. If I'm honest with you, I think Russell will absolutely take him to the cleaners, because I think Russell is really, really talented. I generally think he's a future world champion.
I'd like to believe. I was going to say, sorry, I'd like to believe that Williams has actually been sitting developing their 2021 car. Well, sorry, 2020 car now. For half the season at least.
Yeah, I'd hope so as well. It'll be next year is going to be interesting, because everybody's going to be going to 2021. Everybody's going to be focusing on that at least a little bit. It's going to be interesting to see how many teams focus on 2020. I think you said it, Alex, in a few episodes. Teams like McLaren, teams like even Renault, maybe. Teams that can afford to develop two cars at the same time. They're going to be at a massive advantage.
I don't think 2020 should be written off by teams. I think it could be a golden opportunity for teams because, as you know, the focus is on 2021. But 2020 is still going to happen. It's not like we're not racing in 2020. There is a championship to be won. And if you grasp that opportunity, then it could pay dividends. And as I said a couple of weeks ago, I think the teams like McLaren, Red Bull, Renault, they can't let that opportunity die. 2021, I think, is going to be more the focus of Mercedes and Ferrari. Of course, they're not going to sleep next year, but 2020 could be good for those who've put effort into it.
Absolutely. And effort is usually rewarded in these kind of things. Relatively short one today, as there wasn't that much action in Abu Dhabi, to be fair. But don't worry, we're not going anywhere. We're going to have some driver ratings as well for the whole season, like we had, I think, for our first ever episode, the mid-season ratings. We're doing the full season ratings. And also ranking the races from worst to best. Pretty sure to say this will be featuring near the bottom of that list. It's not a good one. We've
missed one thing.
Go on. What is it, Wayne? 18
laps of no DRS. And it wasn't bad.
No, there was overtake. Why? They said it was because of a technical problem. What was that technical problem?
So basically, the way the DRS system works is that in the ECU for each car that's supplied by the FIA, there's essentially that it has to receive a radio message from the FIA, basically saying you can use DRS, you can't use DRS, and for whatever reason, their timing system didn't allow them to get the gaps at the detection points. I believe, so they couldn't switch on visual DRS. The mechanical system was fine on each car and everything. It was just the electronic system that government governs it for whatever reason was down. So they turned it off and turned it back on again in 18 laps, and then I could obviously turn DRS on. So that's probably what I have to say. That probably affected quite a few races with Bottas or maybe Hulkenberg as well. But it was good to see, actually. The cynic in me says that the FIA actually didn't have a problem and just wanted to see what it'd be like going into the next couple of years. But
he's got his tinfoil out. He's got his conspiracies here.
Nothing fell apart. The world kept spinning and it wasn't terrible, and there was still overtaking. So I know
what you're saying, but this is a sport as well where they have waved the checkered flag early and stuff like that. I mean, they did it in Japan. It happens so much. They spent all these billions of dollars spent on this sport, and they still make the most basic cock-ups. I absolutely love it.
That's why you watch, isn't it?
It is genuinely. These drivers are paid millions, and they make the most basic mistakes. And
I've noticed just the FIA and FOM mostly having problems with technology, because picture-in-picture clearly wasn't a thing in the last couple of laps.
Yeah, that director needs to get sacked, I think. I mean, he missed so much. Actually, he missed that. I didn't see that Perez overtake until this morning. Like, shocking. Replay of it, man.
You have to stay tuned to the SkyPad to know what's actually happening.
Over a broadcast is available. Just one in the UK, Channel 4, but yeah. No, I mean, I just, it's hard to believe, isn't it? That it does happen. Mistakes happen. All humans at the end of the day, even the people behind all the F1 graphics and the F1 technology and stuff. Yeah, I mean, it does prove that it's not impossible to overtake without DRS, but Abu Dhabi is probably one of the easiest tracks to overtake without DRS. I mean, you've got two whacking great straights separated by a chicane.
It's almost like it was designed around it.
Yeah, imagine that.
Alongside that.
I mentioned that on the preview. It had to get in again. But yeah, so thank you for joining us, lads. Great to have you on here.
Yeah, it's been a good season. It's been good.
And like I said, we will be back in the coming weeks to do the driver ratings and to also rate the races as well from worst to best. As Rex is crying his head off in the background, sorry if you can hear that. But yes, we are on YouTube, we're on Spotify, we're on Google Podcasts, we're on Apple Music, we're on Omni Studio and Pocket Cast, and of course on the F1 Chronicle website. Please do check us out on all of those. Subscribe to us, follow us, do whatever is appropriate for those social media services. Just search for the F1 Chronicle and you'll find us. We've also got a Reddit as well. Just search for new podcasts, looking for feedback. If you don't like the sound of babies crying in the background or Christmas decorations in the background to your podcasts, let us know, please. We're always looking for feedback. But yeah, thank you once again for joining us. Thank you, lads.
My pleasure.
And we'll be back in a week's time. I think it'll be for the driver ratings, but we'll post on the social media, let you know what's going on. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.